Okay, so today we are going to do 5-star predictions. At the beginning of the year, said I was going to do one of these every season. I had a time constraint on myself that they would be seasonal, and I failed because I was really pushing myself to get through these books, and I'm finally throwing in the towel, if that doesn't give you a hint on how it's gone. So at first, we're going to go through the books that I predicted would be 5 stars for me. And I set a challenge for myself for this, that I would choose books outside of my comfort zone, outside of what I would naturally pick up. But if I could, I thought that if I could make myself pick it up, I would actually end up loving it. And that didn't go well. So we're gonna check in on those first. I'll give you a really quick idea of how I felt about it, and then we'll move on to new predictions, because apparently I don't learn. But before we get into the books, a shout out to today's sponsor, Squarespace. From websites to online stores to marketing tools to analytics, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that helps you to build your website and grow your business. But we'll talk more about them at the end of the video. So first book on this list is gonna be Lore. This is a YA urban fantasy, which is not a genre that I read ever. Also, Greek mythology doesn't really interest me. I've been reading through Percy Jackson and it's been good, I've been enjoying it, but I'm never gonna just like pick up Greek mythology because I want to. But I'm actually really interested in this because for some reason I follow Alexandra Bracken on Instagram. I don't follow authors on platforms ever, but somehow this happened and I have enjoyed myself a lot following her because she has been hyping this book so hard, like really, really well with giving me excerpts of the story, and she puts together, I don't know if she puts together or the publishers put together, this video hype trailer thing that always looks so good. And the general premise of this is actually really, really interesting. There's some sort of thing that happens every 9 years where these gods are being hunted down, and Lore has run away from this life that she knew, but now she's back because her parents have been killed and she's trying to kill the god that killed them. And it just sounds really cool. Did sound really cool, didn't it? It wasn't. It wasn't cool. Oh, my computer's mad at me for using it. Well, so here's the thing. It wasn't good. Oh no. If you loved it, I'm sorry. It was probably really, really good. I did not love it. I tried. I think I gave it almost to the halfway point, but it was one of those things where it was just like, I was not enjoying it at all. It seemed like there were so many characters in the book that couldn't put together a good plan for the life of them. And we're working with characters that should be quite intelligent, but I can't find the intelligence in them. I don't know. I ended up passing it on to my niece after I gave up on it, and she liked it. So maybe it's a me problem, but I couldn't. I tried. I gave it the college try, and I couldn't. Next book on the list is The Foundations of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. Fountains, Murph! So historical fiction, for whatever reason, I never reach for. Don't ever want to read. But there have been some historical fictions that I've really, really, really loved. So I'm trying to push myself to make time for it. So here's the thing. I have this complex. I want to love every genre. I want to enjoy every genre really honestly. And historical fiction is a genre where there have been some books that I've really enjoyed, but the majority of the time when I try it, I just don't. And it's not a problem with the book. It's a problem with just the fact that I have taste. Oh, that sounded bad. I have individuals like different things, and not everybody is going to like every genre. And I refuse to accept that about myself for some reason. And there are certain genres like historical fiction and mystery where there are books that I have liked within the genre. So it's not like I just hate the genre altogether, but most times when I try those genres, they're just not for me. And I've had such a hard time accepting that for some reason. But honestly, I just need to accept it and move on and get to the point where I need to pick up books from a certain genre because it appeals to me, not because it's popular and I'm trying so hard to force myself to like a genre. Anyway, this was another DNF. Not because there was anything wrong with the book, I'm just starting to accept that this isn't a genre for me, and I feel bad about it still, but I'm working through that. Next book is House on the Cerulean Sea. This book, I don't read a lot of contemporaries, and my friend who is a mod over on our Patreon server, she read this book and has been hyping it so hard. So I did read this and I finished it. Good job, Murph. And I liked it. I didn't love it. It was cozy, it was sweet, it was feel good, and it was not for me. Maybe I don't have a heart. Lynn's sake. The Great Alone. This is another historical fiction set in a different setting. Let me tell, Alaska, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Alaska, 1974. And this is another, it's about a girl with her parents. They run away to Alaska, try to survive. The book is about surviving Alaska, but it's also about surviving abuse. I loved the first half of the book. I did not like the second half of the book. I landed at, shucks, I can understand why people love this, but not for me. Book in my predictions video probably isn't actually going to get 5 stars, so I've replaced it with Royal Assassin. This is kind of a cheat because adult fantasy isn't exactly outside of my comfort zone, but the reason it still fits is because this is a series that I started with Assassin's Apprentice a year ago, I think, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it enough to continue on with the series. I've always planned to continue on with the series. It's just never... Yeah, I continued it and I didn't love it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I think at the time I gave it 3 stars. So I don't know what to tell ya. The thing with Robin Hobb, or rather the thing with this trilogy, is that I consistently am liking her books. I liked Royal Assassin. I mean, I liked Assassin's Apprentice. I liked Royal Assassin, but there are also things that hold me back that I'm just like, I'm not loving these things. And so it's a book, it's a series so far that I'm just not motivated to continue with, to finish out. And so I don't know if I just need to skip the last book in this trilogy and go into the live ship trilogy, the one with pirates, or what I need to do here. But that there wasn't a single 5-star in this list for me. And what sucks is that these are all pretty popular, pretty well-loved books, and I just have bad taste. Anyway, now that we've done that, and we've established that I can't learn, let's do some more 5-star predictions. Do I just not know my own taste? Is that the problem here? Last time I tried to convince myself to only pick books that were really outside of my comfort zone so that I could, or rather outside of what I would choose to pick up, but that I thought if I forced myself to pick up, I would love it. I'm not doing that this time. This time what I'm doing is I'm choosing books that I'm excited about and that I genuinely want to read and I want to read soon, but the challenge portion of it is that I can only pick 1 per genre. Now here's the thing, even though I don't love every single genre, there are a wide range of genres that I genuinely enjoy reading. It's just easiest for me to pick up fantasy because it is my favorite genre. So I have 1 fantasy book on here, and then all the rest are different genres. So that's the challenge that I've given myself, but they're all books that I am very excited to read and not books that I'm gonna have to force myself to finish, hopefully. First one is Mask of Mirrors, which I've mentioned recently in the end of the year book tag. Mask of Mirrors, the reason that this appeals, well, there are 2 reasons it appeals to me so much. 1, it's marketed as like The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is just instantly going to pique my interest. But then 2, this is an author duo, and one of the authors is the author of A Natural History of Dragons and that whole series. And I've been really enjoying that series. So, Lies of Locke Lamora, plus an author that I already know and trust. I'm excited to read. It's thick, so it might take me a minute, but I'm excited. Okay, now other genres. We have Watership Down as my sci-fi. So I know very, very little about this. I believe it's kind of a dystopian setting, an adventure. I'm pretty sure there's rabbits involved. I know very little about it, but I tend to like to enter books knowing very little about them. So anyway, the main reason why this is really high on my list is because it's such a part of pop culture. For me, one of my favorite things about classics is that when I read classics, I almost feel like I'm learning another language that I can use. Classic books are so ingrained into pop culture to the point that a lot of times for people, you don't even have to read the book in order to know the general premise of the story and to be able to bring it up as an example in conversations, or they have really iconic movies made that people can reference. And so a lot of times when I read a book and I'm able to have that conversation with people, I feel like there's like this little pocket of language that I've accessed where we have something in common that we can reference in our conversations. And any book that comes up a lot, that people reference a lot in daily conversation or in regular conversation, I just instantly want to read it. Watership Down is one that seems to come up a lot. People reference it all the time, and I barely even know the premise of it. So it's a book that I really, really want to read, and it's a book that, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's widely loved or hated, but I think it's loved. I think I could potentially enjoy it because I enjoy sci-fi. I really enjoy a well-done dystopian setting. I'm confused about the rabbits, but I don't know, let's do it. I've heard that it's also a little bit scary, so I'm into that. Next we have literary fiction, which is another one of my favorite genres, but I rarely ever reach for no good reason. So This Close to Okay is another book that showed up in my end of the year book tag. So I believe the premise of this is that she's a therapist, and they meet when he is about to jump off a bridge and she talks him down, and they both have a lot going on in their lives, and they end up kind of leaning on each other and working through things together. Again, I like to know very little going into books, so I don't know a lot about this, but I do know that when I got this book in the mail, a lot of people commented saying, this is your type of book, you will love this. So this is really, really high on my list, and I actually plan on picking it up here in the next couple of weeks. And I think I will love it. Next we have romance. So I don't read a lot of romance, and when I do, I mean, I don't really rate things anymore, but when I do, they're usually like, I enjoyed this, not I love this so much, unless it's Daphne du Maurier, who just sweeps me away with her stories. A lot of her stories are doing multiple things. You know, a lot of her stories are a mystery as well as the romance, or like a pirate adventure as well as the romance, or time travel as well as the romance. I think that this one is straight romance. I'm pretty sure that this is a story about a woman and a man who fall in love. Maybe I'm wrong and I'll be surprised, but whatever. Du Maurier writes romance as well as other genres. And I love her books, so I feel like this is a really safe bet, and it's definitely something that I want to read. Finally, we have historical fiction. Ha! I really don't learn. But here's the thing. Just because I've realized that this is a genre that I need to stop trying to force myself to read does not mean that I'm gonna stop reading it. Because if there's a book that looks like I could potentially really enjoy it in the genre, then I'm still gonna pick it up. Here's a book in the genre that I think I could really enjoy. So the protagonist of this book is someone who has lived many lives throughout history, a lot of times really iconic lives, but she doesn't realize it until she meets with a man who has been watching her through the centuries, and he knows all the lives that she's lived because they're bound together for some reason. And that just sounds really cool. That's all I know. Again, I like going into books not knowing much. That's enough for me. Doesn't that sound awesome? Could be terrible, could be amazing. So anyway, this is also really, really high on my list, and I think it'll be a pretty fast read. So there you go, those are some books that I plan on reading relatively soon that I think could potentially be new favorites, or really enjoy them anyway. I don't really rate things anymore, but I know when something is 5 stars, if that makes sense at all. So now that you have my list, here's an ad. Hello, I am a very popular, very talented graphic designer. I make book covers for lots of very successful books. But in order to drum up business, I did have to make a website. I was dreading it, I'll admit, until I found Squarespace. I thought showing my work would be a nightmare, but with Squarespace's powerful blogging tool, I can share stories, photos, videos, and updates on what I'm working on. I can categorize, share, and schedule my posts to make my content work for me. Squarespace also has appointment scheduling, which means that when clients see how amazing my work is, they can book for my services online through my Squarespace website easily. And the most important feature, Squarespace also has a feature for collecting donations. Support your cause by gathering contributions through PayPal, Apple Pay, Stripe, and Venmo. This is especially important because I don't get a lot of business. So head over to squarespace.com for your free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use the link in my description for 10% off your first website or domain. Be successful at what you love, like I have. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video with me and for chatting with me about my failures and hopefully future successes. Let me know if there are any books that you plan on picking up soon that you think is going to be a new favorite for you. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye.